Does anyone in the room know a full sentence by heart in a language that you don't speak, besides the Shema? Let me hear it. Who knows a sentence in a language you don't understand? Yeah. Yeah. So I assume that's Persian. It means I do not speak Farsi. Very good. Joey?
Spanish. Mi casa es su casa. My house is your house.
Okay, so you know that phrase, but you don't speak Spanish. All right? One more?
Yeah.
I know the Fig Newton commercial in French.
The Fig Newton commercial in French. Okay.
And the dance.
Okay. So that happens, right? Like we speak the language that we grew up in or that we learn, but occasionally we're exposed to a phrase or a sentence in another language we don't understand, and we may not even understand what that phrase means, but we've memorized it. One of those for me was a phrase that I memorized kind of unintentionally when I was in college. And the phrase was, in lumine tuo vide bimus lumen, which is what language? Latin. And it means, in lumine tuo, in your light, vide bimus, we see lumen, light. And the reason I learned it, anyone? Dr. Rothman, why did I learn that? It's the crest, go Lions, right? It's on the crest of Columbia University. And you saw it everywhere. And so I got used to these words in Latin. It wasn't until significantly later that I realized that I did know those words in a different language. Because what that is a Latin translation of a verse from Psalms. And I know the Hebrew. Be'orcha nireh or. In your light we see light. There's even a very sweet tune you can sing to that. Be'orcha nireh or, be'orcha nireh or, etc. So I've had this phrase running around my head in Latin. I realized I knew it in Hebrew. And occasionally I've thought about what it actually means. What was the psalmist saying or thinking when he wrote the words be'orcha nireh or? And to quote one of my teachers and friends, Rabbi Ed Feinstein, try to get into the actual mindset of this ancient Judean sitting on a hill somewhere. He had to have some kind of a religious experience or religious moment, and his response to having it was this sentence. He did write it. Didn't come from heaven, this sentence. In your light, we see light. What might he be talking about? Is he saying that God literally fills the world with visual light? Is it a reference to the sun? Is it a reference to the fact that God somehow allows you to see more clearly? I never had a great answer to it until this week. And it's thanks to a 3-part commentary by the Italian commentator Sforno, medieval Italian commentator, on a 3-part section of Parshat Naso. The end of a very, very long aliyah in Parshat Naso concludes with Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing that many of you also know by heart. And it might be a phrase that you know in heart in Hebrew, even if you don't know Hebrew fluently, because you've heard it from your parents, or you're bestowing it upon your children, or you've heard it in shul so often. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha, may God bless you and guard you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, may God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom, may God turn God's face to you or bear God's face upon you and grant you peace. It's a lovely triumvirate of notions with which we bless our children. And the Sforno reads each of those very, very differently and very interestingly as a progression, as an ascent towards the place of being that we want to get to, but it's hard to achieve. What did he say? The first blessing is Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, is saying, may God bless you with the things that you need, material things. You need a certain number of material things, you need a certain number of resources to live, right? The Mishnah says, Imen kemach ein Torah. If you don't have wheat, which is the Mishnah's way of saying food and resources, Ain Torah. You're not going to have the energy or the wherewithal to study Torah. So the first blessing Sforno says is, may God bless you with the things that you need and many of the things that you want, because life's about that. Why not? Why not have that be God's blessing upon you? The second one, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha. What does it mean, he said, for God to shine God's bright face upon you? It's to help you realize, he said, that most of what you need and think that you want, you already have. The first part is, let God give you all the things that you want, but the second one is let God help you see that on some level God has already done that for you. Most of the things that we need for most of the people in this room who are living a very blessed life, and even most of the things that we want, we kind of have. And the second blessing is, may God illuminate our consciousness and our perspective to realize that we don't need that much more. So what's the third bracha? What does it mean to say, Yisa Adonai panav elecha? That God will turn God's face to you or have a divine bearing upon you. The Sforno says, this is like the verse from the 36th chapter of Psalms, verse 10, Ki imcha makor chayim. With you, God, is the source of life. Be'orcha nireh or. And in your light, we will see light. That same verse before. And he says, this is likened to a line from the Talmud Masechet Brachot, where the rabbis imagine Tzadikim Yoshvim, the righteous ones are sitting. V'itro-tehem berashehem, their crowns are on their head. Umitangim miziv hashchina, and they have oneg, they have delight, not from any of their stuff, but miziv hashchina, from the splendor of the divine presence. And what Sforno is saying is, all this is about a two-word phrase, lechaye olam. Now, lechaye olam can be understood in two different ways. It literally means life everlasting, or life that keeps going. It could be eschatology, a vision into a future beyond this realm, that eventually in worlds to come, we're not going to need things. Our resurrected spirits, particularly the righteous ones of us, are going to be bathed in God's light, and that's all we're going to need. Or, and I think far more interesting for people who are alive, it's a description of something that we can taste in this world that is a hint of Chayei Olam. What is a hint of living life ever after? It's recognizing the needs and even the desires that we have that transcend the material. What does it mean to have God's light allow us to see? It means to have a moment, or more than one moment, where you feel that you are bathed in something more beautiful, more grand, more illuminating than any tchotchke you might have bought, any appliance that you're excited about, any next present you hope to get. That's what it means to be bathed in God's light, so that you see the light all around you. We've all had moments like that, where we recognize that all that we need is right there. And it doesn't have to do with a thing. It has to do with a feeling that we have crafted because of our relationships with one another, our sense of self, and perhaps our relationship with the divine. Remember the comedian George Carlin? Right? He had a great set that many of you know about our stuff, Americans' infatuation with our stuff and our things, and that was before the stuff of the generation that we live in. Stuff can be fun, and stuff can be a burden. Those of you who meditate with me know that at the end of the meditation we do a prayer that emerges from the Buddhist tradition that has this following line in it. May we live in great equanimity, free from burdening attachment to loved ones and contempt for others. The first time someone is exposed to that line, they sometimes are uncomfortable. What does it mean to say that we want to be free from burdening attachment to loved ones? I don't want to be free from my attachment to loved ones. The Buddhist approach would be, you don't want to be free from your attachment to loved ones. You want to be free from the aspect of your attachment to loved ones, and I would add to things that become a burden, that become unnecessarily onerous. The contempt part makes sense. We also want healthy attachment with people and with things. And we want to know that the loftiest life is to realize that we need less and thus that we can love more. It's to know that to be well and whole and full in God's light and another's love, and experience our lives as having no lack, no want. I don't mean this to be a Grinch kind of a drush. We should all enjoy the beautiful things that we have, and gadgets can be fun, and we should look forward to birthdays and anniversaries and surprise gifts, receiving them and bestowing them. The tradition is not Ebenezer Scrooge that wants us to go around grumpy about the things in our lives. But it is important to remember that mostly what we need, in lumine tuo videbimus lumen, is to experience the divine light bathing us, and for that to make everything clear. What we really need is light, and it's present. It is abundant. Let it enter you.